Yeah. Have you hit that little red button yet?
I have.
Record button. So we're going. We're at launch. Main Joe, that was the quickest setup in our history right there.
That went kind of smooth. Hey, everyone.
Welcome.
Welcome to another Two Joes podcast and another beautiful Sunday evening in the great Salt Lake City Valley.
Perfect Sunday.
Just a wonderful day. Not too hot, not too cold.
Mm-hmm.
I was working under the pine tree all day, fixing my fucking sprinklers.
Again? Really? Yeah.
Oh, they've just been we've had such a wet spring, and the trees, I've got a lot of trees, and they've been growing so much, the roots are just getting just that much bigger, and pop, pop,
yep. Boom,
snapping
boom.
my sprinklers all over the place. So, yeah, it's been a challenge. And
well, I had my first sprinkler break.
Did you really?
Yeah, about a week ago. You can. I don't know if you noticed, you're walking in, I've got some brown patches.
Yeah, I
out
saw
there
the
now.
grass was a little bit dry out there. Yeah.
So this sprinkler system was first installed back in 2006, and this year marks the first break I've had of any kind, any problem whatsoever.
Wow,
13
I'm
years.
so jealous.
Yeah, I got lucky.
Every single year, every spring, I dread it just a little bit because I know I'm going to have at least one sprinkler repair that I got to do every year.
Now, what do you have in the ground there? Is that old black thin poly pipe, or do you have the PVC, the thicker, the white stuff?
Well, I wish it was the thicker, but someone went cheap on that sucker, and I've got some really thin PVC pipe in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've got a mixture of all kinds of things.
So do you have the cutter tools and the glue and the
dude,
unions?
you should see my bench in my garage. It's just littered with parts and pieces and stuff, and it's a nightmare.
Well, the worst part about it is the digging. You have to prepare a work site for yourself in order to do it efficiently.
Yeah.
You know, and numerous times. You know, I've lived in this house my whole life, and I would do the least amount of digging possible in order to get a union in there, cut out the broken part, and clamp or glue it back together. But man, just do a little bit of extra digging. Do an extra 30 minutes of digging, and you can make your work site so much easier, so much more accessible.
You got to have some room underneath the pipe to put the glue on and stuff like that, and fit it together and keep it clean. You know, definitely.
So all you condo dwellers out there, you have no idea what we're talking about right now.
It's one of the benefits of living in a condo, and one of the reasons why we're considering it someday soon. We'll probably wait till our daughter graduates, and then we'll start getting more serious about it. For right now, we're just tossing it about, you know.
Yeah. A high rise would be nice, you know.
Yeah, just something where I wouldn't have to worry about snow removal and all that stuff, just because I'm getting older, and I don't know how much more longer I'm gonna be able to do it. Like even today, just kneeling that long, I was kneeling for hours today, trying to cut it all up and then piece it all together and then pull it all apart and then glue it back together again. It takes time, and I'm on my knees and my foot falls asleep, and I'm like,
And then do you use the blue glue on,
yeah, the primer is purple. The glue is actually clear. I went to the one-step glue where it's like primer and glue in one kind of thing, but I think that was part of my problem because the one I was fixing today was an old repair I did only like a year or two ago, and it just didn't hold. Yeah. And I think that's part of the reason that just doesn't work as well.
I remember watching G.I. Joe. I'm not sure you've met G.I. Joe. The tall, nice. Yeah. The outdoors guy. This guy's Paul Bunyan.
Oh yeah,
he's like 6'4".
I met him. No.
Yeah, went to middle school with him and everything. And one of my dear friends. And that guy knows sprinklers as well as Picasso knew paint.
Nice,
amazing. And I sat and watched him install. Well, and it helped too. I wasn't just sitting there hovering over him while he's doing all the work. I dug some trenches and helped him lay some PVC in the ground and everything. And this guy just knows. You know this term as well as I do, being in the IT field in computer programming. He knows best practices. Those two words apply to pretty much every industry that you can get into.
I agree.
Yeah. And so he just showed me what to do, what not to do. At one point, I remember we had to kind of angle a piece of pipe in the ground off at like, not 90 degrees, but, like 30 degrees or something like that. And I said, well, G.I. Joe, why don't you just put a joint right there? Just cut it and make a union right there. And he goes, well, Mitch, think about it. we want to leave as much pipe in its natural state as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And, and bear in mind, it's middle of July of 2006. It's 110 degrees. This pipe is extremely malleable,
Interesting.
It's warm and everything. And he goes, no, we just want to kind of have it bend by itself. We don't want to put a joint in there. Every time you put a joint in a sprinkling system, you're inviting a problem.
Yeah. Water is so nefarious that way. It can get through anything almost.
It can. Anytime any home builder builds a home, the number one thing they're thinking about is how to protect it against water. Runoff or rain or anything.
I totally agree. So that leads me to a question for you.
Yeah.
Your garage your driveway kind of slopes down into your garage.
Yes,
How the hell do you control water from flooding your garage every time it rains?
I don't.
Or snow runoff?
I got very fortunate, extremely fortunate. Listeners, my driveway slopes directly toward the garage, and every time there's a heavy rainstorm, I do get some flooding in the garage. But it usually, always is contained just around the sides of the garage. Where the lawnmower is stored and the ping pong table and stuff. Mm-hmm. It never, it doesn't have the ability to come into the house.
You got a couple steps coming up into the house.
Have some steps.
True,
there.
But still, your garage kind of floods a little bit.
It does a bit,
just a bit.
And it's been doing that since I lived here, 48 years ago, and it's never been a problem.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really cool.
So water definitely enters the garage.
So someone must have figured something out,
when they poured the concrete floor for the garage, they did the correct slope.
Yeah.
And so any water that enters stays near the garage door. It doesn't ever come close to the entrance of the house.
Yeah, Dojo was mentioning that about the concrete he had poured. He said, you got to know what you're doing because you got to keep that water going where you want it to go, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, and your house, have you had any flooding problems there?
No.
You're kind of down in the middle of the valley right there. You are right in the center of the valley.
Kind of, yeah.
Mm-hmm. No flooding problems?
Not really, no. Our driveway's pretty flat. Our yard's pretty flat. We do get some water in our garage at the edges where the seal at the bottom of the garage door doesn't meet up with the ground as well as it used to, and so there's a little bit of gap that the water comes in, but not much, nothing to really worry about, I don't think.
Yeah, same with here.
Interesting.
It's, and the where my house is situated right here, I could not have been more fortunate. Not only have been raised here, but being able to buy this place off of my folks 22 years ago.
Yeah.
It's absolutely lucked out.
That's awesome.
Where I live. Yeah. So what else has been up this weekend then? We didn't jam this weekend. No music.
No
music
jam. I couldn't have jammed last night anyway because my daughter was in a play. It was her final performance.
Which play?
In Heathers.
Heathers, really?
Yeah.
The movie? Based on the movie?
The movie is based on the play, actually.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah.
The play came first.
Play came first from what
Christian
I understand.
Slater, if I remember.
Yes,
Christian Slater.
yes.
And okay.
Yeah, correct.
Main Joe, give us at least 30 or 45 seconds on Heathers. This play.
Yeah, it's an interesting play. It's kind of a dark comedy, basically, and it's really well done, well written. The play was different than the movie by quite a bit, but just watching the play helped me remember the movie because before she told me the play she was going to be in, and I was like, I know I've seen that movie, but I can't really. So it was really kind of fun to see the play without remembering the movie very well, and just and be surprised by a lot of the things that happened, and it ended up with had a happy ending, which is important to me because I'm such a
Softy.
Softy. I'm a hopeless romantic kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You want the best for everybody.
Yeah, it's
in
just
every situation.
It's just how I am.
Yeah,
so, and it had some funny moments, and so it was really a lot of fun. My daughter did great in it. I thought she was fantastic, and some of her friends,
May I ask her role?
She was in the ensemble. She didn't make one of the leads at all, but I thought she did a fantastic job because those people are important too, And
Oh yeah.
they're singing the group songs. They're singing just as much as anybody in that case, and
sure.
So she had a lot of fun. It was her final night, so I went and had a great time.
Awesome.
Was,
this was last night?
Just last night, yeah.
Nice. Did you go out to dinner before or after or anything?
No, because she had a matinee before the... She had two performances yesterday, yeah.
So like a 1 p.m. and a 7 p.m. or something?
Yeah. So, and then
awesome.
after the play, she went out with her friends. She doesn't want to hang out with her parents, right? So
no, of course. Yeah.
So it was
well, that's when you and your wife come over here. What the hell?
Oh, well, we went over to... JoJo, my wife. I want to call her JoJo. I kind of like
good.
JoJo.
JoJo's good.
I want to go JoJo with her. So JoJo, my wife, and I went to a friend of hers. Had a wedding reception, so that's what we did afterwards. It was nice. Mm-hmm. Killer house up in the avenues. It was amazing, man.
Oh, beautiful.
Dude.
Beautiful.
This guy had it all set up. You go down into his basement. He had like a little wine rack built into the wall, and he had a hot tub on his deck, and he had waterfall in his backyard, and it was...
And where was this again?
Up in the avenues. It was as private as you can get, up in the avenues where everything's kind of terraced when you get that far up there.
Was it gated too? Did you have to go through
No,
a gate?
It wasn't gated, but he had his electric car plugged in, I really like it when the people that can afford electric cars do it, I think because they got to start. They have to be the leaders in a way, Because I can't afford a Tesla. As soon as I can afford a Tesla, I'm going to get one. That's like one of my dreams.
What about a Leaf, Nissan Leaf?
Well, I think I might get my daughter a Leaf when she turns 16.
Excellent.
Or a Volt, because I think in Utah, from that research I did, it kind of... if you got one of those cars that's a hybrid, it pays off a little better as far as environmentally in Utah.
A hybrid?
Yeah.
Not a straight electric?
For some reason, I think it's a little bit better deal. I don't know. I'll do some more research before I buy it. But, so that's what I'm looking at.
Let's both do some research on that one because I have a lot of questions.
A Volt maybe. Those are the two I'm really looking at.
Mm-hmm. I've heard these electric cars too. Of course, they're powered entirely by batteries. Mm-hmm. And I've read some reports. I have no idea the accuracy. Listeners, please let me know. But the raw materials that go into the construction of batteries can be very devastating, maybe equally devastating to the environment as producing oil. Strip mountainsides.
That's not the. When I did that research, that's not the impression I got. This guy I found on YouTube really did the research, and he said as far as manufacturing the car and all, I wish I could remember better. Go back to that podcast and listen. I spelled it out a little bit better, but yeah. I don't think it's as big an issue as you think. I thought it too, batteries and even disposing of batteries I thought was a huge deal. And he was like, no, it's not as big a deal as you think. And so at least that's what I remember from that research. I'll have to revisit that maybe.
I just remembered that the article I read was shared with me by Dojo, who works for Ford Motor Credit. And, of course, they're all gas-powered right now. I don't think Ford has one electric car out there on the road right now.
I'd be surprised if they didn't. I even saw a Dodge Dart yesterday. My wife was looking at it, and she said, is that the kind of car we want to buy our daughter? And I was like, I don't think that's electric. That's a Dodge Dart. I don't think they make electric cars. And she said, I said, does it have a tailpipe? And she says, well, that's why I asked. It has no tailpipe. So Dodge evidently makes an electric car that I didn't realize.
Well, I was talking Ford, though.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that Dodge has one. I'd be amazed if Chevy has the Volt, and they might even have a fully electric now. I'm not sure. I think it's catching on. They're kind of picking up. And, from my research, it was like, depending on the state you live in, electric cars are going to pay off. They're going to be better for the environment. It's just a matter of how long. Does your state get their power from coal? Does your state get your hydropower? And that makes a difference. Like in Virginia, it takes like 18 years before that car is going to, now after 18 years, now that electric car is going to be better for the environment than a gas-powered car. Yeah. In Utah, I think it's less. I can't remember how many years it takes, but there's still a better deal for the environment. It's just a matter of, right now they're kind of expensive and you're not necessarily going to be, because like you said, you were telling us in one of the podcasts previously how many barrels of oil it makes to make a tire.
Yeah.
You're still have to have all these resources to make an electric car.
Yeah. Please, listeners, realize we're not these tree hugger radicals who are saying no more oil now, stop oil now. But we're not.
It's just impossible.
You can't do that. Yeah. That would grind to a halt.
But here's something. That brings up another thing that I found out this weekend or the last week. where Bernie's talking about going Medicare for all, which I am right now I am on board for. It's an increase in taxes and all that, but for the amount of money I pay out for the three of us in our family and co-pays and all that stuff and deductibles, it just makes no sense to be paying in that money. But if I had Medicare for all, well, now that's a whole lot different. Plus, Bernie's plan is going to include dental and eye appointments and all that. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'm on board with that. But I found out that there's a huge industry based around our current healthcare system, because it's a healthcare system for profit, right? So
yes, it is.
I found out this week that there's tons and tons of programmers out there working in this industry. So if we get rid of that insurance industry, well, there goes a bunch of programming jobs too, and stuff like that. So it's like, it's going to be quite the adjustment when all these people that work for insurance companies trying to disavow your claim and stuff and try and, my company's got to make more money, so I can't, those guys are going to lose their job.
Well, you use the word disavow. No, a more correct word might be deny.
Deny, yes.
Simply
you're
deny
right. Deny.
your claim.
Yep.
That's how they make money.
Well, yeah, they're all about making money. So, yeah.
It's not, they don't make money by making you healthy.
It's going to be interesting. And the same goes with, electric cars and the fossil fuel industry. That's why they're fighting so hard to keep things the way they are,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just, I don't know. I don't have any
Okay, we drift a little bit into politics.
Yeah, a little bit.
Let's stay on our weekend.
Yeah, let's get back to the weekend. You said you had an awesome weekend.
Yes, yeah. The only thing missing was a jam, of course. And the younger Czech Joe was out of town, and he said, "Take me off of the jam thread because I'll be in Europe for 2 weeks." And so that just kind of this is a good time to do some other stuff.
Yeah, sure.
So we'll probably jam next weekend, I think. But the weekend was just awesome. I'll start with today, and I'll work back, and I'll try to be as brief as I can.
Got time to fill?
Yeah, we got plenty. Today, this morning about 10 a.m., Dojo and Conga Joe showed up, and we went golfing up in Park City.
Nice.
And that Park City is, any listeners, if you're not familiar with Utah, if you haven't visited here, Park City, I believe the way they like to refer to themselves, the residents of Park City, they are in Utah, but they are not of Utah.
Yeah, it's an old mining town.
Yeah.
It's kind of expensive to live there. It's a ski resort town, several ski resorts there. It's beautiful, very beautiful up
Gorgeous,
there.
Yeah. And, of course, being the elevation that it is, I'll bet, I'm guessing it was 15 to 20 degrees cooler.
A little bit cooler. Yeah. Lots more snow in the winter.
Lots.
Yeah, it's not a bad place to live. Yeah, it's a little expensive up there, but overall, it's
all around
nice.
this golf course where we played today. It was actually the Park City Municipal Golf Course. It was
I think I've played that
course.
before. I'm having trouble remembering it, but I know I've played it. I've played just about all the courses in Utah one time or another.
Well, I've played it probably half a dozen times in my life, and honestly, Joe, I couldn't remember a single hole.
Interesting.
Yeah, they've changed a lot. There's been so much growth and new construction and residential buildings going in. And every hole you're on, whether you're on the tee box or on the green, you look over your shoulder and you're looking at a $1 million condo that's probably 1,800 square feet. Everywhere you look.
Wow.
It's just nothing but money up there.
Yeah, a lot
major
of money. Up
money. Yeah. But what a great day. Again, Dojo and Conga Joe, and we got paired up with a single guy that was out there to play and played 18 holes of golf and drank a lot of Crown and had a lot of laughs and sat there and it just, on any given tee box it was a long round. We had a lot of wait time, for the groups in front of us to clear. We would break into song. So we did have a little bit of music this weekend.
That's so cool.
It was great. It was great. Conga Joe was the main instigator of that. He would, for some reason, he got on Smoking the Bandit. Eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking, or whatever. I forget the lyrics. So then, of course, we all have to switch the lyrics up. Eastbound and Crown, we're drinking it all down now, or something like that. Conga Joe brought a bottle of Crown Royal up there, and then let's see, we're gonna do what they say can't be done. Do you remember that lyric from that song?
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
We're gonna do what they say can't be done.
Yeah.
So Dojo switched up those lyrics to say, we're going to drink what they say can't be drunk. Just a wonderful day. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Then the rest of the weekend, working backwards, was actually very, really mundane, filled with solitude. I just hung out here. Hung out here? I think hung. Hung. Last night, Saturday night, and Friday night, just hung out here. But from there, if I may launch into another topic regarding Dojo's eldest, Daijo, one of our former guests.
Yep.
He and I work on some computer programming stuff. Yeah, we asked for your help, I remember, on some PHP, some database stuff.
Right.
We were able to figure it out. We were making a simple mistake. And on Friday, we came up with an idea. And Main Joe, I'd love to know your opinion. Opinion of this. This is an idea. We had to publish an application in the mobile gaming. Your smartphone, you know how many people play games.
Yeah.
Angry Birds or Scrabble or whatever it is. So we came up with an idea.
Okay.
And, it was my idea. It was my idea, and I shared it with him. And Daijo, a 19-year-old college student who is ahead of his time. He's an extremely intelligent.
Got a beautiful mind.
He does. Yes, he does. Dude, well said. For the movie and the book.
Yeah.
Yes, he does. A beautiful mind. This is a young person. This is a person who's always happy. Yeah. He's never sad.
Well adjusted.
Very well adjusted. Yeah. Extremely well adjusted. And his dad, Dojo, describes him as Tigger from Winnie the Pooh.
You know how
Tigger was always Tigger was always jumping around and happy and woohoo, well, let's do this, let's go, come on now, don't just sit there, let's go have fun.
Yeah.
So I mentioned this idea to Daijo, and he kind of looked at the ground for a minute, and then he looked back at me and he said, "Mojo, that's a genius idea for a mobile gaming application that we could put out there." And I don't want to belabor this one too long, but I know so little about mobile gaming and how you upload them and how you monetize them and how you get anything going.
I don't know much either.
Have you ever let me ask it very specifically, Main Joe, have you ever paid money to download a game to your phone ever once? No, I haven't either. Never once. Now, I have downloaded free games. I did the Scrabble one. They call it Words with Friends. And I play that one every day.
Oh, wow.
Every day for like the last 3 years.
My sister loves it,
Your sister too, yeah. That's a very popular one.
Yeah, very popular.
If we can name some other popular ones.
Angry Birds, you already brought up. That was hot for a while.
Candy Crush.
My favorite thing to do when I'm trying to kill time on my phone is Minecraft. Dude, I love it. I've got a whole I've got a village I'm building, man, with a fountain in the middle and log cabins, and I love building stuff.
A 50-plus-year-old man is playing Minecraft.
I love Minecraft.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I've got a hotel, a library.
You made a castle and a ship?
No. I want to make a ship, but I have not made a castle yet.
Nice. So this leads into the idea that Daijo and I discussed. Yeah,
so you don't want to tell us the idea, right? This is going out over YouTube, or I can edit it out or something like that if you want.
Great point.
So that way we can just talk about it, and I can just edit it out. Cause
I would.
I don't want someone to steal your idea.
I'd hate to let this one slip.
But then we can talk more about what it takes. I know that you have to use a certain programming language if you want it on an iPhone. You have to get Apple's approval to put it in their store. So they're going to have to look at it, make sure the code is all good and all that. So it's not like you can just say, I'm putting it up there. No. Pull on the reins.
Hang on. Pull back.
It takes some things you got to do.
And then you have to write it for Android also.
Well, I don't know how that works. I'm an iPhone person. And then usually the money is generated in-app purchases. That's where, like, if you playing Words with Friends, is there an option to buy something to help to help you do better or make the game more interesting or whatever?
Well, so to make it easier.
That's how a lot of people make their money. Yeah. Or like I have my daughter and I used to play mini golf on their phones. Like, it's your turn, now it's your turn, now it's your turn. And what they would do is they just run ads for different games and things. And so that's how they made their money, is by putting ads in your face every so often.
Yeah. So Daijo, we talked about these things, and we kind of resigned ourselves to just raising the money, to monetizing this simply through ad revenue. We don't want to, say, whoa, if you get this certain power up, then you're so close to the end. It's only $3.99, and then you can have this extra power or something like that. We didn't want to make the game.
You don't want
to
do that, but then I'd almost rather do that than do ads. Dude. Everyone hates ads. I mean, Minecraft doesn't run any ads. As far as I know, they don't have any in-app purchases that are bothering me. But I paid for it. I had to pay for that game. But
how much was it? So you did?
It was that's true. Minecraft, if you consider it a game, which I guess it is, I did pay for Minecraft.
Was it like $3.99 for the download?
It wasn't expensive. It's been so long now that I can't remember how much I paid for it. But I think my daughter she was thinking about downloading Minecraft on her new computer today. I think she said it was around $26-27. So reasonable, 20. If you guys do an app and you sell for $5 and you sell 100,000 copies, that's a lot of money. I mean, I don't know what kind of bank you're looking to make, but I know everyone's going into that money flow, ad revenue. You got to keep the revenue coming in, blah blah blah. But if you can keep your overhead small and everything, and just sell it for $1, and you sell 1 million of them, well, that's $1 million,
right there. Yeah.
So you gotta, there's a lot of different things to weigh that way. How do you want to make your money? How much you looking to make? And it's all tricky business.
Well, how much is always nebulous. As much as possible. What we're going for.
Well, and then the other hat, then I guess it comes to, is your game conducive to ads? Is it convenient to put them in here and there? Like if I don't know. It's a lot of things to consider.
Many things, and how grateful I am that Main Joe's here to raise some of these. And not concerns, but
brainstorm.
Things to think about.
I love to brainstorm.
Love it. Marker. Thank you. Right. Thank you. Yeah, that's my whole idea.
Cool. That sounds like a plausible idea. I think you should go with the $1, $2 download thing and do it that way. I think.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's gonna be a game that people are gonna play for years, like Minecraft. I'm building a whole flipping city, a village. I'm gonna play that game until I can't play. I run out of room on my phone for that thing. It's just the way it's gonna go. So they can charge a little more, but something like that, I don't know. I think maybe a less of a price, and and then you can always raise the price later as you add features and things. But to get started, maybe just keep it small, no ads. Just keep it, get your foot in the door kind of thing. Maybe is a way to go with that.
That's good advice. Yeah.
Something to consider.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, man.
Yeah, interesting, dude. You're getting in the gaming industry. That's cool.
Yeah. And you know what I've found, Main Joe, and you've been a developer for years too.
Oh, for years, dude.
Is sometimes, not every time, but just sometimes, the process of developing the application, the website, the program, whatever it is you're making, sometimes the process can be every bit as fun as the day you release it.
Especially if you're working with Tigger.
Yes, exactly. We should call him that from now on.
Tigger, and you guys pause for a Cafe Rio lunch. I mean, God, I'm a little bit jealous, man. That sounds like a great workplace to me, man.
He sits in that love seat right over there with his laptop, and we sit and talk back and forth technical stuff, and it's well, listeners, Main Joe, I am in a golden age right now.
Yeah,
I really am. I'm so fortunate in the
very nice
the way things are going, and we're trying to come up with new ideas.
That's cool, dude. You never, geez, yeah. He might end up dropping out of school, and you and him are come up with some. Gates dropped out of school.
Yes,
the Apple dude, I think, dropped out of school. I mean, maybe he's too smart for school. I don't know.
I think he's one of them. He is. He's ahead of his professors.
I mean, so much of where I am now. I mean, sure, school helped me out a lot with the basics and the foundation, but a lot of what I know now, as far as what I use in my job every day, is self-taught. And when I run into a roadblock
on the
or
job
something,
taught or self-taught,
because my boss will dream up some crazy idea and he'll say, "Make it happen," And guess what I'm doing? I'm researching it on Google. I'm Googling my ass off and reading through forums, trying to figure out how they did it and what they ran into and how to correct these problems. And so much of it is just learning how to learn, learning how to troubleshoot, learning how to.
Yeah. I mentioned that with Daijo's dad today, Dojo on the golf course, is, we were talking about college and college debt. And
that's good, yeah. It opens some doors, but...
What degrees mean something. Yeah, I mean, if you graduate and you have $100,000 in student loan debt, but you're a solid engineer or a lawyer or something like that, you're more likely to be able to pay it back. But if you're studying... Eastern mythology or psychology or one of these English, and you got $100,000 in debt. What are you going to be able to do to be able to pay that back?
I know a guy whose dream was to be a journalist, and he was super smart. He went to a good school. He became a journalist. But you're not making bank. You're not buying a house. You're not buying a Tesla. And then eventually he was like, looked at his brothers and sisters. He's got a brother who's a doctor, a sister who's a lawyer, and he's like, fuck this. So he went back to law school. And now he's making some bank. Yeah. Like, we need another fucking lawyer in this country, It's like, it's tough to, get to the place where you want to be, that middle-class living where you can buy some things, you can save for retirement, you can have a nice home, have a nice life.
Nice life. Take a vacation.
It's tricky. It's tricky,
Well, it really is, and it kind of we've launched now into a new arena, one we've discussed before, but Bernie wants to pay for everybody's school. So if we're going to pay for somebody's English degree right along with somebody's degree in molecular biology.
This is interesting.
It is.
Yeah, because, do I really want to pay for someone's law degree? It's like, do we really need another lawyer? Yeah, we need people to, like the Green New Deal should have, like, we want to encourage people to go in that direction, help us figure out this problem, how to take CO2 out of the atmosphere. That should be something we're focusing on more, because we're not going to get rid of fossil fuels tomorrow. Even if we stop today, just bam, no more fossil fuel burning the whole globe. The climate is still going to continue to get hotter because we've got so much in the atmosphere now. The ocean's having trouble clearing out CO2 because it's overwhelmed. The rainforest is going away. We need another way to clean out CO2. That's what we should be focusing on more than anything. And there are some people out there working on this, but I don't think enough, and not enough money is being poured into it. If we're serious about trying to curb global warming, I think that's should be our number one priority.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
That's what I mean. So what I was getting at is, okay, so we're paying for everyone's education. Shouldn't we have a say or have some influence on what they study? Because I didn't go into engineering necessarily because I just love engineering. Engineering's for me. Hell no. I went because if I want to make a good living in this country, I either need to be an engineer, a doctor, or a lawyer. And that's kind of what I came down to. Well, I can't stand the sight of blood. I don't want to be a flippin' lawyer. So engineering, here I come. And luckily, I was a good enough troubleshooter, a good enough student that it worked out. But
doesn't work out for everybody. That's one thing I do tip my hat towards Bernie and the others supporting tuition free. Is they're not just talking people who want to go study English or literature or psychology. They're also saying it's free for the trade schools. If you want to be an electrician or a plumber or a
2-year
helicopter
degrees,
mechanic,
junior college,
that's free
everything,
also.
Everything, yeah.
Everything is. So,
and it's not just for every single person. You got to show some aptitude, of course. You can't just I got D's through high school and I want to go to college now. I'll pay for it. No, it's not going to work like that either.
Yeah,
you still got to get in. You still got to show some aptitude and some.
Well, if you fail the
drive.
first time through, you don't even show up the first time through, we'll give you one more chance.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to work. That's another can of worms. How many strikes do you get? One strike, 2 strikes, 3 strikes?
Yeah.
I mean, I know when I went to junior college, the first time I took college algebra, I thought, piece of cake. I aced my DeVry technology course. I graduated from there. I graduated from military tech school, and I got honors with that. College algebra, bring it on. I fucking failed, dude.
Yeah.
But they only give you I think it was 3 tries. I think it was 3 strikes, and sorry, you can't take that class again.
You're done. Yeah.
So I had to drop out that first one, and I took a 0, and I was like, okay, time to get serious, buddy.
Yeah.
So what I would do is every Friday I'd go to the library on base. We had a beautiful base library, and I'd study my ass off. And then I'd go take myself out to a movie.
Nice. Yeah.
and I aced it.
Got your mind off.
You got to put the time in, and you got to reward yourself for working hard. I think that's what it comes down to a lot of times. But college isn't for everyone, and you got to work at it. It's not easy.
Well, college is not for everyone. That's true.
True.
But I believe there's something that is for everyone. And may I say this in a very general, using one very general term, listeners, and that is training. Everybody can undergo some training, no matter what it is. If you're going to be a brain surgeon or an electrician or a cabinet maker or a fast order cook, whatever it is, the training will be free to you.
Yeah, it's like you were saying, a little knowledge goes a long way. Because even putting in sprinkler pipes, you got to know these little things. Mm-hmm. One of the things I like about this free education thing is that, for someone like myself, if I were to lose my job, and my skills are pretty specific in a specific area, and I know I just got done saying how I'm good at teaching myself, but it would still be open for someone like me that want to go back to school, maybe learn a different skill. Maybe I wanted to become a lawyer.
Sure, yeah.
Give that a shot, and
now, if you want to do that today, let's say you wanted to go to law school today.
Oh, dude,
you can't.
I couldn't afford it.
There's no way.
No way.
Not only the getting in, that's a separate thing. But if you did get in, how are you going to pay for it? How are you going to pay that $8,000 4 times a year?
And at 53 years old, when I graduate, I'm 58. I'm going to have $100,000, $200,000 worth of debt. That just wouldn't work. There's no way. So it's not an option. And that's what I love about Bernie's ideas. I think they'll open up options for people to live their best life. If healthcare is taken care of, guess what? You can leave that job you're in, go to a different job, and you still have the same healthcare. That's no longer a concern. I think that's a good, positive thing. And then this education thing would be similar. You're stuck in a job. You've been working at Walmart for 5 years. You're like, okay, I think maybe I'm ready for school now, because I wasn't ready for college right after high school. There's no way. I had to grow up a little bit before I was ready for school. And so then you can say, okay, I'm ready for college now, and go for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think we mentioned this in a podcast like a month or 2 ago that even our conservative listeners out there are thinking, well, I'm not going to pay for anybody's school. That's awful. I'm not going to pay for anybody's health care.
Yeah.
But, man, if you really love America and you want to see America built up, again, then invest in Americans. Invest in Americans.
Well, and that's the thing.
Healthcare and education. And those 2 things. Invest in those. You will build up America.
And make no mistake about it, we already do. I mean, we give subsidies out to so many different people and organizations. I mean, we give money to Israel, for crying out loud, and Saudi Arabia. And,
it's not Americans.
We give, Trump just got done bailing out farmers to the tune of $20 billion, something billion, like that, because of these tariff things that are going on with China now. And I just think you got to wake up to this fact that, yeah, federal government's important. Yeah, it sucks that we have to operate this way, but we do. And everyone's, I think I explained in a previous podcast, I got help to go to school, Pell Grants, low interest loans. I got
military
help.
benefits.
GI Bill.
Yeah,
GI Bill is another program that was started back in the day.
Yeah.
You know,
Isn't that socialist? Isn't it all socialist?
Well, that's just
Joe?
it. You know, you pay in a little money and you get it back a lot. And I don't know. I think we got to realize that it's already here. We're just trying to change it a bit. You know, just make it a little bit better.
Well, the education's not sexy though. That's the problem. No politician can run on education and hope to be elected. They can't do it. But it is the number one thing.
It's so important.
We have payday loan centers pretty much in every street corner now, don't we? And imagine those were teaching clinics or cabinet making shops or small motorcycle repair shops or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be valuable. That would teach.
I've been to them all. I've been to a tech school. I've been to a junior college. I've been to a 4-year college, and they were all beneficial. You know, look at that. It's just basically stepping stones. And why can't people do that? And if we help people do that, then they're going to be better off. The country will be better off.
It would, and it won't show up overnight. That's one of the problems. Is people want benefit overnight. They want to see the instant improvement.
That's
but I'm
so
talking.
true.
Let's take just out of our military budget, Main Joe, $700 and something billion a year. Let's take $100 billion from the military budget and put it directly in education, and then wait 5 years to see what benefits that brings. Yeah. The patience is what we're after.
Well, and I like just the reevaluation after 5 years. I think that's important too. You can't just pass a law and say that's law now.
No, everything's great.
Yeah,
everything's fine now.
You got to revisit that law and say, okay, does it make sense? Is it working? But I say that after having, the whole 9/11 discussion about should we, pay for the 9/11 responders' health care. Well, I think that's a slightly different case where,
That's a very specific special case.
I don't want to reevaluate that every 5 years. I mean, audit it, make sure it's not being abused. I totally agree there, but as far as having to approve it every 5 years, I don't think that makes sense.
And, you kind of get into welfare then. Welfare, I believe, has such a negative connotation.
Yeah, it does.
Food stamps, subsidized housing, CHIP, free school lunches for underprivileged kids. And
a lot of people are calling these farmers taking these subsidies the new welfare queens.
Yeah, and then what about corporate welfare?
Yeah. Oh, geez, don't get me started, dude.
That never gets talked about, does it?
We talk about it. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
I got some new information I want to relay to you. I ordered something off of Amazon the other day, and I did not get charged any sales tax. You asked about that. You weren't sure. I wasn't sure.
Interesting.
0 in sales tax, dude.
Okay.
So... But yet they're paying their guys, well, until recently, less than $15 an hour. So those people working full-time jobs, making less than $15 an hour, were probably getting federal assistance. And Amazon pays nothing in federal tax. And if that's not corporate welfare, I don't even know what is.
Well, and then there's the ExxonMobil, the oil subsidies.
They get oil subsidies, yep.
I don't even know what those are.
There was a reason for them at one time. It was because of the exploration costs and that. They were trying to offset that because they wanted America to produce more oil. And, it's not cheap to do, but that's long been over. Again, we need to revisit some of these subsidies and laws and audit them, make sure the money's still going where it needs to for the reasons that it initially was going for. Because if that reason no longer exists, then maybe we can adjust it or get rid of it.
Well, here's a sticking point is welfare, food stamps, things like that. If there's somebody out there abusing food stamps, then boy, that seems to really raise the ire of so many people that we should get rid of welfare because look at the abuse going on. But
there's abuse everywhere.
Everywhere. There's fraud everywhere.
Let's talk about...
But please, I want to boil this down to a base level.
Me too.
There is fraud going on.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it.
Yes.
But if you cut off the program, that means some number of kids, a large number of kids, will go to bed hungry every night. Even though their parents might be able to go work, they're not. They're committing fraud. They're getting money every month, but at least some of the government cheese is going to feed their kids every night.
I think Michael Jackson said it best.
How did he say it?
One bad apple does not spoil the whole bunch, girl.
Was that in a song?
Yeah. One bad apple don't spoil the whole bunch, girl.
Yeah,
I don't care what they say. Don't you give up on love now. Something like that.
Well done. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one person taking advantage of welfare, and you want to get rid of welfare. I mean, okay, let's penalize that person. Let's address that issue. But welfare in general is needed. It's beneficial to a lot of people. If you don't want welfare, then you better be on board with education and giving these people a helping hand to get themselves out of their situation. I mean, even Whoopi Goldberg was on welfare for a while.
Yeah.
She needed a helping hand for a while they figured things out, got their feet under themselves, have a roof over their head, got a little food to eat. Now we can figure out what to do next. And now look at her. She's on The View, kicking ass.
The vast majority of people on welfare today are looking for ways to move off of it. I'm convinced of this.
I am too. I mean, people want to contribute. They want to take care of themselves. They want to take care of their families. I really believe that.
Did you see the movie Precious?
No, can't say that.
Back in the day, Gabidi, I forget the young lady's name. An enormously overweight African American young lady played the title role. Her mom, played by an extremely talented singer and actress. I forget her name also. She was the epitome of what we despise about welfare. She was capable. She had no physical disabilities or deformities that would prevent her from going out to work, but she refused to work. She would not. And she got welfare checks every month and free housing. Now, granted, not great housing. It's not a house, or condo, but she would just get up every day and abuse her daughter and then sit in a chair and smoke her cigarettes. That was it. She was the perfect example of what we hate about welfare. But please, listeners, realize that stuff is happening. It's going to happen, and it will not cease happening. It's going to be there. But her daughter, Precious, needed that welfare to eat every day and, go to school and be a human, instead of someone starving to death in the street and holding their hand up begging for some pennies to go buy a piece of bologna. It was the movie, again, listeners, is Precious. I beg you will watch it, and you, Manjo, also. I beg you'll watch this movie.
Yeah, because I can already see something that people are going to glom onto, and that's the fact that she was so overweight, maybe even obese. I mean, she's obviously eating too much. Welfare is paying for all that. What's going on here? And why wasn't her mom willing to work? Is there a reason? Was she mad at the universe?
Yes, mad at her daughter, mad at her ex-husband, mad at her ex-boyfriend.
She was poor me, light me another cigarette, pour me another drink.
Yeah, I tell you, girl, you say that again, I'm going to mash you against the wall. Just angry at the whole world.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
people are going. People have gone through a lot. There's a lot of post-traumatic stress. There's lots of abuse out there, physical abuse, child abuse, sexual abuse.
A lot of ugliness.
A lot of people going through heavy stuff. I want to give them a hand. I want a hand to be there for them if they're grabbing for one.
Yeah. I don't want to extend a hand to ExxonMobil. They don't need one.
Or Amazon.
Or Walmart.
Or
Walmart,
or CNN, or
many
Walmart.
countless. Walmart. I've read this. I haven't seen this personally, so I don't know if I read fake headlines or fake articles. But Walmart, when they hire new people, the minimum wage people, part of the onboarding process is to show them a pamphlet where they can call a number or visit a website so they can get government assistance for food or Medicare or housing.
I don't know about that, but I know at Thanksgiving they have bins where people can make contributions.
I saw that too.
Help their fellow employees have a Thanksgiving.
Have a dinner for Thanksgiving.
Have a special thing, a special dinner, granted, but
Well, and then that's corporate welfare. Right there, we are subsidizing
reeks
Walmart.
of it to me. Yeah, if you can't pay them a living wage, I mean, come on.
Well, that's another debate too. Where is that living wage? How do you decide
and
that?
I
Is
saw
it 15? Is it 18?
Well, exactly.
Is it 12?
I realized that Bernie's wanting to jump that minimum wage from what it is now, 7-something an hour to 15 an hour, is a huge ass jump. However, why is it such a huge ass jump? Is it because Bernie wants everyone to drive Cadillacs? Fuck no. It's because we put the raising of minimum wage in the hands of Congress. Need I say more? In many, many other countries that have a minimum wage, it is not in the hands of a governing body like that. It is in the hands of the economic committee of the country. You know, someone who knows how to raise it and why to raise it. And some of them just have it tied to inflation. If inflation goes up, guess what? The minimum wage goes up. But guess what? Congress doesn't do that. Congress hasn't raised the minimum wage in over 10 years. That's why it's such a leap. You know, we're trying to catch up.
It's more than that. I think it's more than 10.
That's probably more than 10, at least 10. So, you know, we got to take it out of the hands of Congress and figure out a way to make it a living wage.
Do we let the market decide it?
I don't have any faith in the market, dude. Market deciding it is back when you had child labor working for 10 cents a day, you know. I mean, that's what the market will do. They'll pay you the absolute minimum. That's why
they can.
That's why the minimum wage we have now isn't working, because it's too damn low. It's not a living wage. And guess what? The corporations are paying it to the majority of their employees. I guess, I'm assuming, because I know how corporations work, and it's about that bottom line. I mean, until Bernie put pressure on them, Amazon wasn't paying anybody $15 an hour probably, you know.
Did they?
Bernie had to shame them into doing it, and they finally did it. Obama had to say, "Look, if you want a government contract, your lowest paid worker is making $15 an hour."
I remember that too.
Yeah. I think did Trump undo that one? I'm guessing. If I had to guess, I'd say he did.
I didn't see any headlines, but I wouldn't doubt it.
Well, he probably did it in his first week. It was probably so long ago we don't remember, because he was undoing everything Obama did.
Just because it was Obama.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so yeah, it's crazy out there. I saw a really good video on the whole minimum wage thing and why it's the way it is now, and why our country is like dead last in countries that have minimum wages, and as far as how close it is to being a living wage, you know. So,
you know, I'm not a worrier by nature, Joe.
Me either.
But I do worry for America in just one respect, and the thing that brought down the Roman Empire that lasted 400 or 500 years. It was the empire on the planet.
Yeah.
Nobody even sniffed it. America's been that way now for 220 plus years,
yeah.
and probably again for another 200-300 years. But I would love to see it go in perpetuity. And America be the...
It has the potential.
Yeah, indeed. Because of the genius of our founding fathers, of course. But
partly.
I worry...
I got a beef with them too, but go ahead.
I have several myself. I do. That's another podcast.
Yeah, maybe next segment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the similarity that I see in my ignorant view, my low-level view, is...
Average Joe view.
The which view?
The average Joe view.
Average Joe, thank you. The similarities that we now see between the Roman Empire right before it fell and what we're seeing in America is incredibly powerful, moneyed interests that are kind of the center of everything. The center of industry and entertainment and education and corporations, and these exist all over the world, and they always have. That's nothing new with America. And also where America is very fortunate today is that we have more of them than any other country on Earth.
I believe that's true.
More of them. The more power each of these entities gains, it's just another, a chisel at the foundation of the middle class, of what we're born from. B-O-R-N-E, from where we were born.
Yeah. It threatens by the people for the people.
It does. It minimizes us. Gradually, little by little, it minimizes the people. Yeah. It does this. And if I may, listeners, and Manjo, bring it into something more relatable, especially to some older people out there, 40, 45 plus, that Manjo will certainly know. Do you remember back when we were 8, 10, 12 years old, My mom stayed home, took care of the kids, and
mom did too.
Dad went to work. Every year we took a vacation that was wonderful. Every Christmas there were presents bounding under the tree.
Good Christmases, yeah.
Always had great food to eat every day. Always had great clothes. Always was visiting with my cousins and my aunt and uncle. And it's very, very different in America today, isn't it?
I think so.
These situations still exist, but not as widely as they did back in the 70s and 80s.
I agree.
I guess I made my point. Thank you, Major, for letting
your
me
point
lay that
was,
out there.
well, I don't know if it was so much a point, but it was an observation. So do you have a point?
Okay, yes. Thank
is
you.
that the wrong direction to go? What's causing this?
Mm-hmm.
What
is the centers of power that I mentioned, and how
more moms have to work.
We do now in the middle class.
People have to move to cities. They don't stay in the smaller towns where they grew up and where their families are. Because that's kind of what happened to me. I had to move away from that small town so I could earn a decent living. I mean, there wasn't much there for me. Yeah. So my daughter sits at home and she has no cousins, no aunts, no uncles, no relatives around. Yeah.
Fortunately, she has the Playhouse.
Yes, she's a theater kid, so that helps a lot because that's like family. You work on a play for that many weeks, that hard, that dedication. You guys, they're just like tight, man. It's so cool to see.
Yeah. Well, Manjo, I just spent a few moments there bashing what I find wrong with America. May I also say that's something that might contradict what I just said?
Go for it, yeah.
Is the middle class has diminished in America. May I ask you to agree on that?
I think it's true. I think it is getting harder and harder to be a part of the middle class, yes.
Mm-hmm. Live in a nice house and send your kids to college.
Mom stays home.
Mom stays home, and you do this on one salary, and you have two cars, and you take vacations. That has diminished. That has it's not as common. It has. So I think there again is that is evidence that the incredible wealth of America has gone upward to these entities I mentioned earlier. It's whether it's entertainment or sports or corporations or government or whatever it is, the middle class has diminished.
Yep.
Now, let me contradict and say still, my standard of living in America is off the charts good. And yours is too.
Mine's pretty,
and all my friends, all of them.
My wife stays home. She doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And I see the houses that are being built in my neighborhood, and they're nicer than my house. And you look at all those houses up in Park City around the golf course, and they're amazing. I don't know who owns these houses. I don't know what they do for a living, but they're obviously doing quite well and definitely embedded in the middle class, heavy, middle to upper middle class. I would say if you can afford a brand new house and a brand new RV, and the mom stays home, and you can save for college, go on vacation, I'd say you're probably upper middle class, wouldn't you think?
No way. I've studied that one. Forgive me for being so vociferous.
No, help me out.
Upper middle class. I took
what is upper middle class to you?
Way up there.
Way up there.
Yeah, well above where we are. We're talking private jets and shit. And
that's
yachts.
not upper middle class. Now that's rich, man. I'm thinking RV in the driveway, brand new, in the brand new house. That's upper middle class to me. Those things aren't cheap. Those things aren't cheap, man.
The key word is middle. The upper middle class.
If you've got a flipping jet, dude, you are no longer middle class. I'm sorry. I won't agree with you there.
You're right. I'm remembering something I read 10 years ago, and now I'm testing whether it's true. And for the first time, you made me question the way they did the scale. Whoever produced this thing I watched is upper class is the highest you can get. Upper class, and there have been like 6 or 8 families in history who have really been upper class. And we're talking pharaohs and, Queen of England and stuff like this. Upper middle class is millions and millions of dollars, still doing extremely well. You own a corporation, you have your own jet, you're doing great. Upper middle class is way up there. Middle class, dude, we're technically not even middle class.
I'm gonna research this, dude. I still don't buy it.
It's interesting as hell.
Yeah, let's figure that out, because I was thinking if you make like $200,000 plus a year, then you're at the very top end of middle class. I'm thinking.
That is, dude.
What'd you think?
Let us research that for our listeners.
Yeah,
and
let's
bring
do
this,
that because
bring
I'd
this.
like to get some. We got to compare apples to apples, I think,
Yeah,
and just kind of
yeah.
start speaking the same language when we talk middle. I consider myself lower middle class, but maybe I'm more middle class. If my wife stays home and I have a house and 2 cars, and I go on vacations every year, maybe I'm middle class. I always consider myself lower middle class because I'm struggling with healthcare and I'm worried about sending my daughter to college. So that's why I consider myself lower middle class. If I was middle class or upper middle class, I think I would have the college thing figured out and healthcare wouldn't be an issue.
If you're upper middle class, you're likely a president of a university. Or something like that.
Something like that. Yes.
Good.
Not a private jet, but you're making $200+ a year, and you're sitting nice.
All right.
You're not worrying about health care. You're not worrying about sending your children to college. You're not worrying about paying for your vacation. At least that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, good stuff, man. I still hate how the corporations are ripping off the government.
Let's talk about in our next segment, because corporations, the more I think about them, they're getting my goat, man.
They are. Manjo, we got us a topic. Thank you so much.